The two sisters simultaneously selected husbands through a card-flipping method. The younger sister intentionally snatched away the elder sister's card. She chose the wealthy young master for herself. When it was the elder sister's turn, the younger sister again took the initiative first and flipped the card of the carriage driver for the elder sister. The younger sister cursed in her heart, wishing the elder sister a miserable life married to the poor carriage driver, unaware that the elder sister would have a happy and fulfilling life, and she herself would also fall into a trap of fate. The elder sister, Vivian, paid no attention to her younger sister, Julia. She calmly walked up to the carriage driver and asked him with a smile if he was willing to take her as his wife. Anthony hesitated somewhat. After all, the two had only just met for the first time, but Vivian sincerely and firmly pledged her vow. Anthony was moved by this brave and trustworthy girl. He agreed, and so, under the witness of everyone, he and Vivian became husband and wife. Vivian did not look down on Anthony for being poor, and was willing to work hard with him to earn money. But Vivian's parents felt humiliated. The father said he was willing to give the carriage driver $300,000, only asking him to renounce his candidacy. This sum was enough to buy a very good house in the city. Everyone thought the carriage driver would certainly agree. However, Anthony firmly refused. He said the other party was not only insulting him, but also insulting Vivian, treating their daughter like a tradable item. Anthony said that although he was poor, he was an upright person, and would absolutely not let Vivian down. The parents turned away in anger. The crowd also dispersed. Only the two newly formed couples remained, tension hanging between them. Julia mocked Vivian, calling her pitiful, but Vivian also thought the other was rejoicing too soon. Julia might not necessarily be happy. The next day was the wedding ceremony. Both were daughters of wealthy families. Vivian was dressed simply, while Julia was dressed lavishly. Moreover, the parents gave Julia a generous dowry, but gave nothing to Vivian. Just at that moment, a line of luxury cars arrived. Julia's husband got out and walked over. Jack was a captain in the army. This was also the reason Julia had chosen him. The parents were very satisfied with this son-in-law, because he gave them great face. Simultaneously, they were even angrier at Vivian, because Anthony actually came to marry her pulling a rickshaw. The parents were furious. Julia schadenfreudigly mocked them, but Vivian firmly stood up for her husband. She believed sincerity or pretense wasn't about the scale of pomp. Her judgment could not be wrong. In fact, Vivian's judgment was indeed very good. Anthony was not truly a carriage driver, but the great general commanding the entire army, but he did not want to reveal his identity at this time. So he had his subordinate find a small house to serve as his home. However, this house still didn't seem like one a carriage driver could afford. So Vivian raised a question. Anthony had to say that this house was borrowed from his friend David. David had no choice but to play along with his superior's act. Vivian stopped doubting. The two spent a warm night together. However, early the next morning, a group of people in military uniforms suddenly barged in. They addressed Anthony as General. Vivian was puzzled, but Anthony brushed it off, saying these people were his friends, that everyone was just joking. Vivian temporarily believed it, and thoughtfully went to cook. At this time, the soldier reported the military situation. The neighboring city had fallen, requesting Anthony's support. Anthony decided to dispatch troops immediately, and had David stay behind to protect his wife, Vivian. Anthony went to bid farewell to Vivian. He said there was an urgent matter at home, that he must return for a while. Anthony gave his jade pendant to Vivian. In reality, it was a token that could mobilize the army. Time passed in the blink of an eye. A year had gone by. After Anthony left, Vivian discovered she was pregnant. She gave birth to a daughter. On this day, Vivian carried her daughter to celebrate her father's birthday. However, the parents only paid attention to Julia and Jack. They were cold and indifferent towards Vivian, and were very impatient with the child. Afterwards, Jack presented a precious gramophone as a gift. The father was even more satisfied with this son-in-law, and consequently even more dissatisfied with Anthony, who had been absent for a year. Just then, someone suddenly delivered gifts. The messenger said he was acting on the general's orders. The gifts were several chests of gold. Everyone was stunned. The father thought that because Jack was an army captain who had gained favor, the general was sending him gifts. Although Jack didn't know what was happening, he immediately claimed credit. No one present knew that this was a gift sent by Anthony, because he had finally returned from battle and would arrive shortly. But at this moment, Vivian was isolated and helpless. Her father and younger sister mocked and humiliated her intensely. Vivian couldn't help but retort, but was slapped to the ground by her father, causing Anthony's jade pendant to fall out. The father immediately recognized it as the general's token. How could it be on Vivian? At this time, Julia falsely accused Vivian of having stolen the pendant. Vivian was furious. She wanted to retrieve her jade pendant, but the others wouldn't let it go. Julia said she would only return the pendant if Vivian severed ties with their parents. Then she would return the pendant to her. Vivian looked at her parents in disbelief, thinking they would stop Julia. Unexpectedly, her parents didn't want her either. Vivian became completely disheartened with this family. She tearfully agreed to sever ties, but Julia wasn't willing to let her leave so easily. Julia demanded that Vivian be whipped as punishment for being unfilial to her parents. Vivian was whipped until she was on the verge of death. Just as Julia was about to slash her face, the general finally walked in.